Hello, I am roaringbug, and welcome to my Sims 4 speed build. Today I am making a build called Green Queen Anne, and this house is a base game only house. I've been making a lot of base game only Victorian houses, and I think this is one of the pretty ones that I've made so far. And if you want this build, you can get it off the gallery at roaringbug, all one word. And if you like my video, please like, subscribe, or leave me a comment. And if you want, you can follow or reach me at my various social media platforms in my description. So, talking about the build, what you're seeing right now is how I'm putting together just the basic structure of the house. And I based the house on that picture you saw at the beginning of my video. And this particular house had a floor plan with it. I don't always get a floor plan with my reference pictures. Sometimes I just have one picture of the house, of the front of the house, and I would normally just make up the rest of the house. And in this occasion, I didn't use the floor plan because it's hard to translate a real house floor plan in The Sims, just because in The Sims, the structure of the house is locked in this tile system. So it's really hard to try and make things an exact fit. Sometimes you might have to make something bigger, other times you might have to make something look smaller. So I do the best I can just by trying to make it look as good as it possibly can with the restrictions of The Sims. And what you're seeing right now is how I'm putting the pieces together to make this house. And I like making the porch into its own separate room. If you want, I suppose you could just draw walls and then turn them into spandrels. But I like having my porches have cover so that can shelter your sim, so I just turn them. I feel like it's a lot easier just to turn them into a full room. And what you're seeing right now is how I'm piecing together different roof pieces in order to cover this porch completely. And now I'm just revealing the shape of the porch by putting down these spandrels. And I'm holding the shift key in order to quickly place down all those pillars. Normally you would just grab one pillar at a time, but if you hold the shift key, you can put down multiples of a same item. And in the front, I'm putting these corbels, which are these tiny little roof details in the front of the build. And I put those there because it was on my reference picture, but I didn't put them on the rest of the other bump outs in the house because in the past when I put corbels, I noticed that they hadn't dropped away with half cutaway walls in gameplay. And I know it can be distracting to see things floating on a wall, especially when you're playing the game. So I didn't want to make it too distracting in case it didn't drop away, so I only put it in the front of the house. And I'm just working on coloring the roof and all the details on the roof. And now I'm up to putting windows on the house, so I put windows on most of the tower. The parts that I didn't put windows on the tower are the ones that intersect with the roof pieces. And the windows on the second floor on the tower, I had to customly place by using control and hitting the 9 key 2 times in order to raise it into the space that I wanted to, because I wanted to be perfectly placed on that tower. And I put these little windows on these bump outs just so that it looks like a detail on the house. On Victorian houses, usually they have a lot more detail, but I'm building this house with pack restrictions by making it only base game. So I'm trying to make it look as fancy as I can just with the windows. And I cut off the corners on the second floor on these bump outs just so that they look like fancier bay windows, because I noticed that my reference picture had that. But I've seen Victorian houses where the top of the bay windows were square, so that's why I initially did it that way. I think those windows eventually get deleted because I end up putting a chimney on that wall. So for the back, I didn't have a picture of the back of the house, so I just decided to put a little porch in the back of the house. I didn't want to do a full wraparound porch because I didn't want to cover up those bay window bump outs that I put on the house. So I thought a little porch would probably be best for this design. So that little platform area that's bare, that I'm putting stairs, that's going to be a side entrance. And I put it there because, again, I'm basing it off my reference picture. So technically it has 3 ways to get into the house. No, two in the front and 1 in the back. So, you know, my method is I like putting windows all around the house before I do the floor plan, because I find it's easier to move or delete windows than it is to do the floor plan and add windows. But that's just a personal preference. And you're seeing now I'm just scooching the house 1 tile back and 1 tile to the left, just so that I can make the front yard a little bit bigger. And I end up using this low fence in order to section off some planter space around the house, because I thought it would look prettier if it was a lot more structured and manicured by having this low fence. So I just used terrain paint in order to make this planter space just look like soil, planting soil, just so that it would look different from the rest of the lawn that's in the world. So I just wanted to make it look a little different. It's a style that's pretty new to me, but I've seen other builders do it, and I just wanted to recreate that style because for Victorian houses, I feel like they would have a much more manicured landscaping than, let's say, like something that looks more natural. So all of this plants and greenery, they're all debug items. And for those who don't know, debug items are just the window dressing items that you can unlock with key commands in The Sims, and they have no in-game cost, and they're generally very nice, sometimes even better than what you find in the regular build and buy catalog, or some items you can't even find in the build and buy catalog. Like I've seen like debug statues of cats, I've seen a news van, I've seen fire hydrants, I've seen like electric poles, I've seen debug cars. I mean, you can pull a lot of debug items that you wouldn't find in the regular build and buy catalog. And usually the plants are slightly bigger than what you find in the build and buy catalog. Like those white hydrangeums that I put down in the front yard. I've in the regular build and buy catalog, they're actually a tiny bit smaller than in the build and buy in the debug catalog. And this fence is debug too. The thing about this debug fence is that your sim will walk through it, so they won't recognize it as a fence. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. I don't really know why. So, if you happen to see your sim just walk through it, it's because it's a debug fence. But there have been a couple of debug items that I've seen where your sims actually won't walk through them. So I don't really know what counts and what doesn't count. So now I'm in the interior of the house and I'm doing the floor plan for the interior. So this first section in the front is going to be a living room, because I assume the first thing you're going to do when you walk into a house is walk into a living room. And it's green. Since this is a green Queen Anne, the interior is going to have a lot of green wallpaper. So the color scheme is very, very white and very green. So I wanted it to look like a traditional looking house because, it's a Queen Anne. You gotta go with fanciness. And I just turned this little tower space into like a little hideaway, just to canoodle. And I had quite a lot of space in this living room, so I put a lot of stuff here. So first off, I put the TV and the radio. I put a chess table here, and I fit a full grand piano. So yeah, I think it's fancy to put the grand piano right in the living room. And this space here is a skill building room. So I put a computer, an easel, a radio, and 2 gym equipment in this room. And this kitchen, I end up making into a dining room / kitchen because it's pretty sizable too. And it has that's the side entrance into the kitchen. So I suppose in real life it would make sense to have a side entranceway into the kitchen, because if you had a maid or something, they can get deliveries directly brought into the kitchen. And the skill building room would probably be the formal dining room. But I furnished this house as a home that doesn't have helpers in it. So I thought, I guess that makes sense. And this is pretty much the downstairs done. And I just put some wall detail and some backyard furniture. And I just put this monkey bar here. That actually has skill building qualities to that monkey bar. It helps your child sim build their motor skills. And I decided to move this stair 1 tile forward just so that it would line up better on the second floor, because I just needed 1 extra tile more just to make this hallway in the second floor. And I was able to make it into a what is it? It's 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. 2 bathrooms upstairs and another bathroom downstairs. So it's a 3-bedroom, 3-bath house. And I had a little trouble trying to figure out the floor plan for the second floor, but I was able to configure it with 1 bedroom having an ensuite, and the 2 other bedrooms end up sharing the hall bathroom. And again, everything is green. So there's a glitch lately with the stairs. Since the stairs is touching a wall, it's not just up against a wall, it's also recessed into 1 tile space of wall. It's having this weird glitch where it's not showing the railing of the stairs. And I think it happened during the latest pack or the latest update, because I don't remember that ever happening before. So if you notice that my stairs looks like it's missing a railing, there is a railing. You can only just see the last pillar of the banister at the foot of the steps of the stairs, but you won't see it going up the stairs. And I have no idea why. It's just The Sims being The Sims right now. So this house is furnished for 2 parents, 2 kids, a toddler, and an infant. So when I make my base game houses and I don't have a particular sim in mind, I try to make my house accessible for every life stage. So I try to make it for every sim of every age can live in this house. If it's for teenagers, I would just delete the kids' skill building items, because teenagers don't really require skill building items, but kids do. So that's the only reason why I made it into a child's room. Oh, and this infant room, goodness sakes, I moved the furniture in this room so many times just because I had a hard time trying to figure out the layout of the furniture. So at first I thought it would just be for an infant, and then I thought, no, I have enough space to make it for an infant and a toddler. And then I just moved everything everywhere until I finally got this floor plan for that room. So what you just saw before is I shrunk down a plant, because the plant by the front door, I was afraid it was going to have routing issues. In case you didn't notice, I'm not really heavy on clutter. I just don't, personally, I don't like a lot of clutter, but think of it this way: if you use this house, you can add all the clutter you want. But I don't think there's any kind of routing issue with this house. There's more than enough space to get everywhere in the house. And now I'm just doing some last minute landscaping in the yard just to make that tree look a little more lively. And in the bushes too, because I thought that'd be more realistic. So that's the end of my build. Thank you for watching. Bye.